Hello everyone. So this is UPSC Mains 2021 GS1 paper, and I will not waste time, will not do analysis, etc. We'll just try to talk about the solution. Enough analysis has already been done on YouTube. So let's try to talk about what answers we have to write, and we'll frame the answers accordingly. So this is a part one. I will do question 1 to 10. I tried to do all of them, but this is not possible. There are so many questions, man. So let's do it in two parts. So first part, question 1 to 10, we'll discuss. So 10 marker, these 1 to 10 question. First question, evaluate the nature of Bhakti literature and its contribution to Indian culture. So history optional, guys, you have enough fodder, but again, you have to concise it in 150 words. So if you need to talk about Bhakti literature, first of all, you have to start with the term Bhakti. So this whole thing, Bhakti movement, many people believe that it took roots in early medieval India. Early medieval India is 750 to 1200 AD. So many people believe that Bhakti movement or this whole Bhakti philosophy started in early medieval India. But the thing is, this concept is very old. This concept is as old as Hinduism. This whole concept of Bhakti is as old as Hinduism. And you can talk like, what is Bhakti? Complete devotion to God. And you can find the mention of Bhakti in Vedas, Upanishad, epics. What is epics? Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita. It talks about basically about Bhakti. But the thing is, Bhakti literature, Bhakti movement in their current form, that originated in early medieval India. It was actually a step towards revival of Hinduism. Adi Shankaracharya, etc. They played a crucial role. But again, the question is not asking this. They're not asking about Bhakti movement per se. They're asking about Bhakti literature. What is the nature of Bhakti literature? So there came the Bhakti movement, which involved people from different strata, women, weavers, Kabir sir, all these guys, not Kabir Singh, it's Kabir. And I always say people who are senior to me as sir. So Kabir sir, he was a weaver, Kabir. And so in early medieval India, Bhakti emerged from a religious theory to a movement based on equality. So it's not like, and again, you can see earlier there was rituals and sacrifices that Brahmanas only can do these rituals and sacrifices, which led to the emergence of heterodox sects, Buddhism, Jainism, during the second urbanization period, 6th century BC. You can see somewhat similar movement which emerged in early medieval India, in southern India. Why in southern India? Because you have more stable kingdoms in southern India, and there was certain amount of instability in northern India. But again, now came the Bhakti movement, came different people from different. Now let's see this. Let me show you something. So what is happening is these people, Dadu Dayal, Eknath, Baswanna, all these guys, Ramdas, they came from different places and they promoted the literature in their own places. And this came to be known as Bhakti literature. Whatever books they wrote, it came to be known as part of Bhakti literature. So there are two parts to that question. What is the nature of Bhakti literature? And the second part is, if you see that question, what is the nature of Bhakti literature and contribution to Indian culture? So nature, you can say the nature of, you can make one heading where you can talk about the nature. And in that nature part, you can talk about that it was egalitarian in nature. Egalitarian means promoting all strata of society. Then it emphasized on local on and regional languages. So they played a crucial role in development of local and regional languages. There was an emphasis on local and regional languages. So you can talk about that as well. That is one nature. Then they promote Bhakti Marg. So they played a crucial role in reviving Hinduism, and they promoted Bhakti Marg of Vedanta. What is Vedanta? If you have seen my history optional lecture, which I will keep on making, so you will realize that each Veda has 4 parts. Generally, when we ask about Veda, different parts, so they talk about Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sham Veda, Athar Veda. There are 4 Vedas. Each Veda has 4 parts: Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishad. Upanishad, which is the last part of Veda, it is also known as Vedanta. Ved plus Anta. Since this is the end part of Vedas, so it is also known as Vedanta. And in Vedanta, they talk about Bhakti Marg. There are other marks also, Gyan Marg, Karma Marg. Bhakti Marg means complete devotion to God. And that Bhakti Marg is stressed in Bhakti literature. That Bhakti Marg, that it's not like you need rituals and sacrifices. And you can never attain true knowledge of everything. It's very impossible. So devote yourself completely to God. And that Bhakti Marg is propounded in Bhakti literature. So this is the nature part which you can talk about. Then the second part is about contribution. What is their contribution to Indian culture? What is the contribution of Bhakti literature to Indian culture? So again, it involved, this Bhakti literature has been contributed by people from all strata. So it is involving people from all strata. It is showing us that people from all strata came together in the country. And compile Bhakti literature. So the culture, that means it in a way it is promoting the diversity of Indian culture. So weaver, we have just talked about. Kabir sir was a weaver. Mirabai was a woman, obviously. You have Chaitanya sir from Bengal. So many people coming from different strata. Then this is one contribution, promoting people from all strata to come and promote their contribution, give their contribution to Bhakti literature. Then along with Sufism plus Bhakti movement, what they did, they promoted Hindu plus and Hindu and Muslim unity. So Hindu and Muslim unity was promoted by them. So we're talking about what are their contributions? What is the contribution of Bhakti literature? So Hindu-Muslim unity. If you read history optional, you will realize that there are some people who say that Sufism played a crucial role in converting the people from lower strata of Hindu society to Muslim. But again, we're not talking about that. Just remember, you are writing it from GS perspective. So promoted Hindu-Muslim unity. Then the contribution part, we have talked about regional languages developed. Telugu, Kannada, Bengali, all these languages developed. So you can talk about that as well. So yes, so there is a lot of like contribution of Bhakti literature. It also promoted poetry, Indian poetry in their current form. You can trace their lineage to the Bhakti literature. So all these things you can talk about here in this Bhakti literature part. That's it, man. 10 marks, 150 words. You have enough fodder to write 150 words. You can see here Bhakti word arise from the word bhaja, which means utter, and it also means to love with honor. Bhakti movement. Then you can make a map. If you want to, you can make a map and you can show these guys and their contribution to Bhakti literature. But do remember, you have to talk about Bhakti literature, not Bhakti movement per se. Then they came from different, like they had different occupation, leather, worker, barber, Muslim weaver. So you can see so many people coming from so many different stratas. Let's go to the next question. Rise and growth of socio-religious reform movements. So understand one thing, there was a term which is known as Bengal Renaissance. Bengal Renaissance. Now, Bengal Renaissance, socio-religious reform movements led to Bengal Renaissance. What is Bengal Renaissance? What is socio-religious reform movements? You do know at that time, during the time of Britishers, whatever happened first in Bengal because they captured Bengal first. So that's why we say Bengali people are very intelligent. Sometimes some people say they're cunning. No, you cannot use the word cunning. It has a negative connotation. They're very intelligent. And there is a reason for that. Everything which happened in India during the British period happened first, or almost major of the things, a majority of the things which happened in India happened first in Bengal. Same is the thing with social-religious reform movements. And you can see Young Bengal movement, Brahmo Samaj, they also originated from Bengal. So their stress was on humanity, rationality. Humanity, rationality. Now you can divide this question. First, you can talk about social-religious reform movements, what they stressed on, how social-religious reform movements led to Bengal Renaissance, and what was their stress on. Then you can divide it into two parts. One is Brahmo Samaj. You can divide one part called Brahmo Samaj. There you can talk about how it was formed in 1828. It was earlier known as Brahmo Sabha, found by Raja Ram Mohan Roy sir. It condemned sacrifices, stressed on rationality. Abolition of sati happened because of this in 1829. And Brahmo Samaj had a crucial role to play in that. And it resulted in the growth of rationalism and enlightenment, which in a way contributed to nationalist cause. So this is about Brahmo Samaj. Then you can talk about Young Bengal movement. So Young Bengal movement, again, no need of going too deep here, man. Here, they're talking about the rise and growth of social religious movements with special reference to Young Bengal and Brahmo Samaj. So you can talk something about social religious reforms and then talk about Young Bengal and Brahmo Samaj. You can even write it in paragraph format. No need of writing it in point format if you don't have enough points. So you can talk about that Durosio sir, Henry, Lewis, Vivian, Durosio. He was the one. He was who he was. He was a professor in Hindu College in Calcutta. He arrived in India in 1826. He was a professor. He founded this Young Bengal movement where they had debates, where they talked about social traditions, criticized social traditions. They debated on the existence of God. There are many people who were not very happy with them, but there were many people who were followers of Young Bengal movement. What happened? It came to a sudden end. There was a sudden, a disconnect or a decline in 1831. Why? Because Durosio sir, he died in 1831. 1826, he arrived as a professor. 1831, he died. But even after that, even after a brief lull, it continued. This Young Bengal movement, it contributed. And Then you can talk about the conclusion part, that it helped this whole thing. These social religious reform movements, including Young Bengal and Brahmo Samaj, they contributed to the development of modern India by promoting rationality, and they also led foundation of subsequent nationalist movement. So all these points you can talk about here. Now let's talk about question number 3. Post-independent India, UPSC hardly asked questions from this in mains. This year they have asked after so many years. Post-independent India, main administrative issues and socio-cultural problems in integration process of Indian princely states. So now the thing is, you can start with talking about that we needed this integration. We needed the integration of Indian princely states. And why do we need it? Because if we did not have integrated them, it would have led to balkanization of India. Balkanization means our India would have been divided into so many small parts, scattered here and there, because there were around 500 princely states. Then you can talk about, see, what happens generally. You can see here, there are two parts: administrative issues, socio-cultural problems. So if you have enough fodder, you can divide it into two parts: administrative issues, what were the administrative issues, and what are the social cultural problems. Let's say you don't have enough fodder, then don't show it to the examiner, the person who will be checking your copy, that you don't have enough fodder. You can just write one heading: administrative issues and socio-cultural problems. Anyway, it's a 10 marker, so you have some leeway here. Just club them together and write all the issues and problems. Just make one heading: administrative issues and socio-cultural problems, and then start talking about the issues and problems. From where this problem started. So Britain, they were the one who started the problem. They said, these guys, that you can join either. You could join either India or Pakistan, or you could remain independent. So it caused uncertainty. This was the first issue. Then what happened? Some of these princely states, they wanted to be sovereign, some wanted to join Pakistan, and some were influenced by Pakistan. Some were influenced by Pakistan. This was the second issue. Some were influenced by Pakistan. So this was another administrative issue, or these problems. Then, so our issue was also that if we integrate them, how to make their administrative divisions, or integrate them with our administrative division, which was going on in mainland India. Then these were some administrative issues. Since you don't have too many points here, so in socio-cultural problems, you can talk about, in the same, you can add some more points, that the socio-cultural problem was to how to make the people of Indian princely state truly a part of the Indian Union. That was one issue. They had their own cultures, they have their own traditions. So we have to also respect their unique cultures and traditions. All these were some issues which were catered. And there you needed a very deft diplomacy, which was provided by Patel sir. You needed some amount of force in certain areas, which was also done. So all these things had to be dealt with in a very sensitive manner, which was done to cater to or to address these administrative issues and socio-cultural problems. So you can talk about this, man. Good question, actually. Good question. And here you need to hit the nail in the head. You don't have to talk about, you don't have to explain the process, which one was integrated first, which one was integrated afterwards. No, you have to talk about the issues and problems here. Next question. Now, since I teach students, so I have seen this question, like not the same question: differentiate the causes of landslide in Himalayan region and Western Ghats. If you go and solve the PYQs, you will realize there were so many questions previous year in GS1 where they have asked why more landslides occur in Himalayas and Western Ghats, discuss the process of landslide in Himalayas. So all these things, what steps have been taken, these kind of questions have been asked twice or thrice in the previous years. So this question is somewhat similar. How you will solve this question? First of all, here they're not asking about the mitigation measures, etc. They're asking differentiate the causes of landslide. There are certain causes which leads to landslide in Himalayan region, which are different from the causes which happens in Western Ghats. First of all, you will start with the definition of landslide. So what is landslide? I will give you a simple definition: downward and outward movement of what? Movement of slope forming materials. Movement of slope forming materials, mainly under the influence of gravity. Slope forming materials, mainly under the influence of gravity. That's it. That is it. This will do. Mainly under the influence of gravity. This is the definition of landslide. Now, jump directly to the question what they're asking. What are the reasons? Differentiate the reasons. So you will make one heading: landslides in Himalayan region vis-a-vis Western Ghats. Then you can talk about first point: plate tectonics. Plate tectonics. What does it mean? Plate tectonic means Himalayas. They are at the junction of Indo-Australian and Eurasian plate. So our Himalayas, we have greater Himalayas, lesser Himalayas, outer Himalayas. They are at the junction of Indo-Australian plate and Eurasian plate. Indo-Australian plate is moving northward, right? And because they're moving northward, it causes like friction, it causes collisions and tremors rather, which leads to landslides. But Western Ghat is more stable. So this is one point. Western Ghat is more stable. You don't have such meeting of two plates there. So it is much more stable. This is one reason. Second reason will be what? Why there is more landslide. There are many rapidly flowing rivers. Remember, if you have read geography, you may have read about perennial rivers, seasonal rivers, Himalayan rivers, peninsular rivers. So you do know that there are many rapidly flowing rivers in Himalayas, which cause a lot of erosion. And because of those lot of erosion, there is lots of landslides which happen there. But such kind of rapidly flowing rivers are very rare in Western Ghat. So this is the second reason for landslide happening more frequently in Himalayan region than Western Ghat. Third, Himalayan region, they have sedimentary rocks. This you may have read in rock cycle. What is sedimentary, what is igneous, what is metamorphic rock. So they have sedimentary rock, which are more prone to erosion. Himalayas, they're majorly made of sedimentary rocks, which are more prone to erosion. Western Ghats, they have basalt. You may have heard about the Deccan Trap, the Ragur soil. So you do know that they have basalt, they have more igneous rock. So Western Ghats, they're majorly made of basalt, which is more resistance to erosion. So that's why landslide, where will landslide happen? Where there is more erosion. Since Himalayas majorly are made up of sedimentary rocks, there is more erosion there, more landslide there. And Western Ghats are made of basalt, which is more stable. So there is less erosion there. Then this is third point. Then fourth is more human interference. There is much more human interference in Himalayan region than Western Ghats. It's not like there is no human interference or anthropomorphic changes in Western Ghats, but it is more tourism, more construction activities, everything more. So obviously landslide will happen more there. So all these differentiate landslide in Himalayan region from landslide in Western Ghats. That's it, man. More than enough. Next part, next topic. Many people are saying paper is easy, paper is easy. You may feel like paper is easy right now, sitting outside with people who are giving the exam. Let them take a breather. After all papers are done, let them tell you how it was. It's not easy or tough. It's all about time management and all those stuff. And you have to think on your feet there. Fine. So yeah, but the question was like moderate to tough, I will say, not easy. Nothing is easy in UPSC. Everything comes at a cost. So question number 5, good question. Despite India being one of the countries of Gondwanaland, its mining industry contributes much less. It may feel like an easy question. It is not. You have to go deep. You're here. You don't have to talk about mining industry per se. You have to say why it is contributing less. So first of all, what you have to talk about is our mining regions. Majority of our mining regions, if you have a look at it, most of these mining regions, they are in red corridor districts. So we are not able to use them in the way we want to because they are in a very vulnerable areas or Naxalite affected areas. So most of these mining regions are in red corridor district. Then sometimes you need very advanced technologies and we don't have that advanced technology. Technology is lacking. Like for harnessing coal in a proper manner, you need ultra critical, super ultra critical power plants and all those things you need. And we don't have that much technology. We are lacking in technology to take advantage of our mining sector. So that's why mining industry is contributing less to GDP. Technology is lacking. Then what else? Understand one thing. Generally, what happens in most of the countries, first of all, your primary sector develops, then your secondary, then your tertiary. That means first, primary means farming, all these things they develop, then your manufacturing will develop, then your services sector will develop. But in India, we have bypassed secondary sector and we have moved directly to tertiary sector. So that means our manufacturing industry is underdeveloped. Our manufacturing industry underdeveloped. This manufacturing industry will take advantage of the mining sector, right? But they're not able to because the mining industry per se, which is a part of the manufacturing sector, they are not well developed. They are not able to take advantage of the mines which are there, the minerals which are there. So this is one point which you have to talk about. Then safety issues are also there. We don't have proper equipments. Remember there was one incident which happened in Meghalaya, rat hole mining incident where people went inside and they died. And there was one such incident in Copiapo, Mexico, where people were still alive after 77 days. You can read about that. So there are some safety issues in our country. Then you can talk about less investment from government, because it's not like we are a developed country, we have so much money. So investment is also not up to the mark, less investment from government. And then you can talk about that we have a national manufacturing policy now, and all these things will be taking care of this thing, that mining industry contribute more from now onwards. And we are taking, government is taking some steps. If possible, also make a map, show where are your mining industry, what is your Chota Nagpur region, what is your, like in northeastern region, which kind of mines you find, the Dharwar region, etc. Make a map if possible. ठीक है. So this is question number 5. Sixth, environmental implications of reclamation of water bodies into urban land use. You can see here your environment knowledge will also come into picture. You can use your environment knowledge. What happened to my voice, Saran ma'am? GS3 environment. So that's why things which you have read in environment will be handy here. So you can talk about, first of all, water bodies. What are water bodies? Lakes, wetlands. So you can talk about how they are useful. How they are useful. How they are useful. They recharge groundwater. Reclaim water bodies means what we are doing is we are filling these water bodies, and on those areas we are making buildings. We are doing construction activities. So that is reclamation. You can even define what is reclamation. So earlier when they were there, lakes and wetlands, so they were recharging groundwater. They were even providing drinking water. They were supporting biodiversity. Then they were providing livelihood. So many things these guys were doing. So you can talk about that. Then jump directly to the point. They're talking about implications. Talk about implications. What are the implications when you're reclaiming water bodies into urban land use? It leads to urban floods, because earlier waters were going into these lakes and wetlands. Whatever rainfall was happening, let's say it was happening at a much faster pace in certain areas, they were going to lakes and wetlands, but they have nowhere to go now, which leads to clogging, water clogging, urban floods. Bengaluru, Chennai, Mumbai all suffered this. Then concretization. What is happening when you are covering these means water bodies with building structures? You're doing concretization, you are using concrete. And when you're using concrete, what happened? These lakes and wetlands, water from these lakes and wetlands, they evaporated, they went into the atmosphere, formed clouds, led to rainfall. But now that water is not going into that water is not getting evaporated because of the concrete, which will affect hydrological cycle, which may lead to less rainfall in your area. It will affect hydrological cycle. To talk about it. ठीक है? So this is one point. Then water bodies, they are turned into landfills. Like these water bodies, their waste are being dumped. Example is Deepor Bill. Some areas of Deepor Bill, it is being used as a landfill. So it is leading to environmental degradation. So that's why what do we need? And that's why government is talking about that you need to have a scientific reclamation of water bodies. If we need to reclaim it, first of all, minimize the reclamation. But if we have to use reclamation of water bodies, then it has to be scientific. And in that regard, Smart City Amrut Mission, they will play a crucial role. Don't just talk about Smart City, also talk about Amrut Mission. And this is your homework. Try to find out the difference between Smart City and Amrut Mission. Not much difference, you will realize, but there are differences. They are focusing more on sewage, waste management, and Smart City is more holistic. Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation. How many cities are there in Smart City? How many cities are there in Amrut Mission? Try to find out and differentiate between them. They can even ask you this mains question. So this is what you have to talk about in question number 6. Let's move on to the next question. Mention the global occurrence of volcanic eruptions in 2021. Current affair question, tough question, not easy, man. So more than 40 volcanoes or volcanic eruption has happened this year, more than 40 volcanic eruption. And this has happened in different terrains and territories in US, Spain, Indonesia, Italy, you name it, it has happened there. Now, that is fine, that has happened. Here you have to talk about the impact. The second part is about the impact. Now, you can make your answer much better if you divide your answer into 3 parts. Immediate impact. What is the immediate impact of volcanic eruption? Medium-term impact and long-term impact. Immediate, medium, and then long-term. That would be awesome if you can do that. So immediately what happened? When there are volcanic eruptions in certain areas, you may need, it's not like we always need, you may need evacuation. You may need to evacuate people of the adjoining areas and rehabilitate them or resettle them. So that can happen. That is an immediate impact. Medium-term impact is, this is a source of geothermal energy. This whole volcanic eruption, they emit energy from interior of this earth. It's not sun, interior of the earth, and they are a source of geothermal energy. Read more about geothermal energy. What is geothermal energy? So that is a medium-term impact. Long-term impact is these volcanoes or these materials, volcanic materials, they come to the surface of the earth and they settle down, they convert into soil after thousands and millions of years, and these soils are comparatively fertile. So this is one long-term impact, comparatively fertile soils. Then many metallic minerals like gold, copper, etc., they are generally found in the extinct volcanoes, the volcanoes which have become extinct. In the interior portion, you will find these metallic minerals. So all these are impacts of volcanic eruption. So you can divide it into three parts: immediate, medium, and long term. And you can talk about these points. Hope it is clear. Tikashi, let's go to the next part. So question number 8. Good question, man. How are people saying this is an easy paper? This is a good paper, actually. The more I am seeing it, the more I am liking it. So why is India considered a subcontinent? Elaborate your answer. So you can talk about the points why India is considered a subcontinent. So we are separated in north by the Himalayas. In south, we have a peninsular character. So because of this, we have a unique feature. All these features that in north we are separated by Himalayas, in south we have peninsular nature. It has given us a unique feature and identity, and thereby giving us the name Indian subcontinent. Second thing, we are not as big as a continent. We are not as big as a continent, but we are not, or but what you have to understand is we are comparatively much bigger than most of the countries. We are not big as a continent, but we are comparatively much bigger than most of the countries, thereby putting us in the category of subcontinent. Then you can talk about intermingling of cultures. Intermingling of cultures. Intermingling of culture means if you see from ancient period, Indus Valley civilization, Vedic culture, Indo-Greek, Kushanas, all these cultures, they were covering the portion which is currently known as Indian subcontinent. Hence, we share ethnic, linguistic, cultural, and historical connections. So that's why India, together with Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Nepal, 7 countries are there in the subcontinent. They are together known as Indian subcontinent. That would be it. That's it. That's fine. If you can write these points, that's it. You don't need to write more than that, because I don't think there are any other good points. If you know about it, do tell me. So that's it for question number 8. Let's talk about question number 9. Good question. Good question. So here they're talking about, you have to talk about the uniqueness of tribal knowledge, how they are unique. So how they are unique, they call upon, and they generally talk about reliance on local resources. So we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat and all those things. In a way, tribal people, they're truly Atmanirbhar because of their reliance on local resources. So this is one point you can talk about, how they are unique. Second point is they maintain unique floral and faunal communities. I love tribal areas. I love tribal people. I don't know why. Maybe they do not love me, but I love them. Why will they not love me? I am lovable. Okay, we are doing stupidity here. So what I was telling you is, see this. The question has been asked on this living root bridges in UPSC pre as well. So this is one example where you're seeing a unique floral and faunal community, living root bridge, Meghalaya. Then you have also something known as, they have very unique perspective about medicinal knowledge, Ayurveda and all those things. And that's why what we have done is, or what government has done is, they have started something called TKDL, Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. And what is this TKDL? So it is a Indian digital knowledge repository. So where you have this traditional knowledge, tribal knowledge about medicinal plants, and which are used in Indian system of medicine. So you can talk about TKDL. I don't think many people would have talked about TKDL. So what we are talking about, TKDL, Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. Then you can talk about TriFed, like because of all these facts, and you can talk, there are so many other dimensions also to traditional knowledge. You can talk about it, tribal knowledge, and then you can say that because of this, government has taken many initiative like TKDL. TriFed is doing a lot. What is TriFed? TriFed, they're doing a lot. Tribal Cooperative Marketing Federation of India, they are doing a lot to promote tribal products, to promote tribal knowledge, to make people aware about them. TriFed is doing a lot. So all these things you can talk about and show how tribal knowledge system is unique compared with mainstream knowledge. Next part, again, a good question. Here they're not talking about gig economy per se. Question number 10, they're talking about their role in process of empowerment of women. So first of all, in 1 or 2 lines, you will talk about what is gig economy. It consists of temporary and flexible jobs. Many people don't like it. Many people do like it. So let's say you love to travel world, you love to move here and there. You don't want to work 24, like 12 months and 9 to 5. So for you, good gig economy is good. But again, there are issues. So here you will divide your answer into two parts. First part will be how gig economy is impacting women empowerment positively. How it is impacting women empowerment positively. There you can talk about that. First of all, it provides flexibility. We do know women, they are multitasking. They're best. There was one good essay question also, na, that handle cradles, they rule the world. So they are the best. So they are doing so many things. So this flexibility of gig economy, it allows them to be a part of the working economy. So flexibility in working style offer women to work in different scenarios. So this is one point. This is the good thing, flexibility. Then one thing which gig economy does is it provides financial independence to both men and women, especially when you get financial independence as a woman. So this is your first step towards women empowerment. So this financial independence is again a good point about gig economy. Then it allows women to be part of paid economy. We do know most of the women, they are involved in unpaid jobs. They are so selfless. I have seen this. You can see it time and again. They're working. Once they attain motherhood, you have seen many of them even voluntarily giving up jobs, which they should not. I don't like that, but they do it. God knows why. Maybe there is some good inherent genes which are there in women, or matrilineal, what you can say, some instincts and all those things kicks up, God knows what. So they are a part of unpaid jobs. Like they do all these works in their house, but this gig economy, it allows them to be a part of paid economy, thereby furthering women empowerment. So these are some positive points. In negative points, then you have to give another heading, how it affects negatively, how gig economy affects women empowerment negatively. First of all, it is largely unregulated. Gig economy is largely unregulated. Then little job security. We all need job security. God knows about I don't need job security, but many of us do, or maybe I will at certain point of time will need some job security. So we need job security, and that job security is lacking here in gig economy to a certain extent. Then there is gender bias. I used to work in a forum, I won't name it, and not a very big forum, it's kind of a startup. So I worked in Samsung, then I worked in startup. So that startup was, they used to call everybody. They used to post on Naukri. They used to call everybody. But what I have talked with that guy, and he was like, no, man, I cannot select women because they will negatively impact the environment. Boys will not work. So that is stupid. That is gender bias. And these kind of gender bias is more in gig economy. So we need subsequent reforms in gig economy to further the process of women empowerment. So all these things you can talk about here. ठीक है? So that's it, man, from 1 to 10. In the next part, we will discuss from 11 to 20. And that's it. Take care. Be blessed. Bye-bye.